School districts across the country are bracing for massive layoffs. It's all because of pandemic-era funding is coming to an end this fall. Now, between 2020 and 2021, K through 12 schools received $190 billion in federal relief, and without that money, thousands of educators could lose their jobs. So to discuss this further, I want to bring in Chief of Policy and Programs at the National Council on Teacher Quality, Shannon Holston. Shannon, thanks for coming on. If you can talk to us and paint us a picture about how much this funding has helped and what the situation is going to look like without the money.
Sure. Yes. Certainly, on the heels of the pandemic, this money helped districts hire teachers as well as support staff, such as mental health professionals, paraprofessionals, tutors, to help address students' academic and socio-emotional needs. However, with these funds, districts were given flexibility on how to spend them. And we know that districts use this money to hire more teachers and support staff. So while it was very helpful, now that these funds are coming to an end, districts are facing some really tough decisions.
I want to expand upon that. So I want everybody to see this. This is gives everybody a graph of the country, the proposed school staff cuts, that we can see what this is going to look like. The thing is, the schools knew this funding had an expiration date. It seems like they're scrambling now on what to do. Was there no plan put in place?
Well, that largely depends district to district across the country. We know that teacher labor markets are highly localized, and student needs from district to district or region to region, state to state, vary greatly depending on how the pandemic was handled. So it largely depends on how districts approach layoffs. Too many districts still use last in, first out policies or LIFO policies when it comes to layoff decisions. In a NCTQ analysis, we found that nearly a third of the country's largest school districts still use seniority as the primary or sole criterion for teacher layoffs. So this threatens the ability to ensure teacher effectiveness and as well as diversifying the workforce.
And let's talk about that for a second. So in other words, you're talking about seniority versus what could be talent, what could be what is best for the students. Is there any way to determine that? Is there any way, should schools be doing that, be doing a calculation about who are the best teachers, who are the ones that are helping students the most? I mean, what should schools be doing on an individual capacity?
Yes, certainly. The goal of districts should be to keep the highest performing teachers in the district, regardless of seniority. Seniority is not a proxy for performance. So districts should be taking into account teacher performance, what subject the teacher teaches, perhaps, where they teach. We know that typically layoffs affect high need schools in greater capacity because they typically have a newer, less experienced workforce. So they should be taking all these things into factor when deciding who they may have to lay off, rather than just going by a straight seniority. Teachers of color are also more likely to be earlier in their careers. So they might be the first to get cut, even though they may be a very effective teacher.
Can you talk to me about this aspect of it, and correct me if I'm wrong, that with the layoffs and with this cutting off of funding, it could disproportionately affect low-income school districts? Is that something that we might be seeing? And again, is there any way to counterbalance that, to react to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think for a school district, they should take into account a number of factors. They should try to minimize cuts as possible. Another factor is educator support roles, such as counselors or paraprofessionals that might be able to help in the classroom. So it's really important for districts to kind of take a look at their whole educator workforce and try and minimize the cuts as much as possible, particularly in schools that might experience what we call teacher churn, where there's a lot of teacher turnover from year to year. We know that's detrimental to student learning as well as teacher retention. So they should take that into account when trying to create, a stable workforce in schools.
And Shannon, to be clear, the issue that they're running into with running out of this money is an issue of mismanaging the funds, that it was placed in the wrong different programs or the wrong different resources. I mean, talk to me, was there any kind of mismanagement of the money that they received?
Yeah, I can't speak to that it's an individual basis,
Sure.
but what I can tell you is that they're needed to be a balance between what money was used to hire for positions or maybe programs that they knew, could come to an end, as far as like tutoring programs or things that could address students' needs in the short term. So districts should have approached it with a balance to take all these things into account.
Yeah, it's a disappointing situation. So if maybe every school district will do a little self-assessment and see what's best for them. Shannon Holston, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com, newsnationnow.com, and you can find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button down below. Then you will get more of News Nation's fact-driven coverage.